Alright, so I wanted to go over basically just the market. Anyway, so we'll start off with the daily and go into what happened here on the daily. So what I have on the left hand side is a daily chart. In the middle I have a Renko chart with volume. Upper right hand I have a point and figure chart, but classic point and figure, just X's. And then below that I have 15-minute wave chart, about 1% retracement. There's many ways to do all this. So let's set this up on auto, instrument only. Alright. Alright, so we'll take a look at the entire daily trend, starting off from the left. Alright. So what you had was a market that was going down, 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 down. And what you noticed was 1,500 million, then 1,200 million, then 900 million. Alright, what does that mean? That means when it was driving lower and lower and lower, the volume decreased. And this is typical behavior. Like even when the waves go up, 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 rally followed by another rally followed by another rally, typically the volume is supposed to go down. Why? Because what? You're gonna keep buying at higher prices? Doesn't make sense, right? Or if you're selling, wouldn't you want to sell high instead of sell low? So the higher up you are, typically you get more volume, and as it goes lower, 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 the volume, because there are less sellers as you go lower, 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 lower. Then eventually over here, it increased, went from 1,500 million to 1,200 million to 900 million, then jumped up to 1,200 million. So it went from 9 to 12, right? So here we found an increase. Now if the waves were combined, this really would be like a 22. Okay, so this wave right here was, if it was combined, but this one bar in it broke the wave into two pieces. Even still, you had the volume go up, and then so let's just stick to what it shows. It went up right here, and then it went to again back down to 10 million. It went back down to 10 million. There was a shortening of the thrust. It's not a breakout. And one of the things I'm looking at is what is this. You'll see when we have these levels breaking, the volume increases. Like over here, it increases 1.553 or 59. Here again on the breakdown, it stopped. The volume didn't increase. The volume is actually 90% of the bar before it. Here again, the volume is about 125, but the closes are mid-range. Something not right. Here again, it's about 1.2, and then it goes down to 94, and it reverses up. So the breakout sequences are a little weird over here. And what was really important, which was because you know that these guys are going to buy low prices, was right here. This down volume was the biggest in about 300 bars. This up bar has most volume in about 289 up bars. So this type of behavior where it goes down and comes up, this is telling you that there's a panic and it's being bought. That's why your volume is high on the down bar and on the up bar, because they're buying. Down panic, buy the panic. This is what's going on. Right, that's like what the behavior means. And then you had a little bit more, and then this reversal came in. This reversal here was a 20% move, meaning from bottom to up, it moved up 20%. It doesn't look big, but this move was 20% from the low. of about, I don't know, like 217 or something. Then it went up to like 260, whatever. So 20% reversal, very nice. It's visible in the percent increases. Anyway, so the time was 3 days. Then it pulls back on 1 day, meaning there's no lasting power. The time here represents lasting power. So it goes down for only 1 day, goes back up, goes down again for 1 day. And what it does is it tests this breakout area, and this is very, very common. We'll go testing creek, or just a test of the breakout. Alright, so let's get rid of this. Now, how do you know there's a breakout here? When it went above the prior pivot, it increased on about 1.27%, and had follow through. So taking a look at here's the print. Where is my arrow? Right there. Right there. When it took out that level, that high, it took it out on the biggest volume in that particular wave, and that volume is evident here. Right there. That was the biggest volume, about 49 bricks, and a lot of about 10. It's about 100 million shares right there. And then it went sideways here. It's typically this behavior, some type of absorption or something. Like, that's what they do. And then rally, pull back, whatever, whatever. So here's the point. The point is, it cracked right there. Test 1, 2, 3, or just holding or whatever. Now going back to the wave chart on daily, that volume was the biggest in 6 waves, meaning 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That volume was the biggest in 6 waves. It rallied 20%. It lasted 3 days. And typically I wouldn't be impressed, except for that 20%, that is meaningful. But it's not like obscene volume coming in. Now, here's where it gets really nice. When it pulled back, look at what's going on with the volumes. 12, 10, 5, 4. They have completely dried up. Here, at this point, there's no selling pressure. There's no selling pressure. Here on this test, there is the smallest volume since a lot of bars. Alright, that's the smallest volume. Probably since, I don't know, all the way back up there. So here, it was very clear that this bar, there's no volume, and after that, you had an increase of volume about 39%, which broke out above here. That's a buy. That was like, because it increased in volume about 39%. The range is really nice, and it took out the highs. It took out the breakout levels, the high resistance. So anyway, then it went and just did whatever it does. Here it pulled back really nice on increasing volume right over there, pulled back, and I wanted to see the levels. So, oh yeah, right there. All this volume, 18 volume here. When it pulls back, 31 volume, 310 million. Rally, and just test that area. So what's nice about it, it was a spring. There's heavy volume before it, and all it led to was a reversal. So this position, meaning the spring position, was at a very nice level, and it rallied. And what do I mean by very nice level? Look at this. That's buying pressure that came here and it went up. And all these waves did was just test it. So, and remember the trend is up, so keeps on going, keeps on going. Then it pulls back here. Okay, before we observe the pullback, just take a look at how it breaks out. You have to watch how it breaks out. What type of volume came in? Was it an upthrust? Was it something else? Was it absorption? Typically, against these levels, you're going to find two types of behavior: breakout or absorption. In this case, it was absorption. How do you know? It's right there. Absorbing these highs, and then that bang was the signal to go, that it's going to go. Why? It's increasing range, increasing volume, bigger than the rest, and it did. So that right there, this box was right here, 2,600 million shares absorbed. 2,600 million shares absorbed at that area, and it's having follow through, and it's going higher, right? Rallies, now pulls back, and pulls back to test this area. When it does that, it's in some type of spring position, which is retested. Okay, it goes down. How much volume on the down bar is not a lot. Here it gets interesting because the volumes start picking up here. 15, 18, 14, right over here, right? But there is one behavior that told you that there was going to be a reversal. Obviously, it's this crack right here in 24. This big red, big red. Anyway, so it goes down, and then buying pressure comes here. 11, which is biggest in 12 bars, I think. So that's the biggest in 12 bars, and it rallies. Here it absorbs, because it has to absorb. There's a lot of this pivot here, pivot there. And remember I said typically you'll find breakout or absorption. So it absorbs and it goes higher. Now we're over here. So now I'm going to bring in the other charts to figure out what's going on. Alright. The other thing to note was there's a lot of dullness here. 9 days and only 9%. There's a lot of dullness. What does it mean, dullness? Dullness is the opposite of speed, or like really bad selling, on the down wave. I guess you could call it effort if you want. Goes down, up, and it goes up to here, and it's not breaking out. I mean, it took out the high, but it's not breaking out. So we're against an edge. Alright, we're against an edge. What's going on in here? I don't see anything on the Renko chart, and I don't really see anything much on the daily other than the reversal here had the biggest selling of not really. I mean, it's bigger than probably five bars. It's about bigger than 5 bars on that little red bar. So here's my point. We're at an edge, and what is the lower time frame saying? Okay, now here's the point. So we had a change of behavior from this low on the daily chart, from the support to the resistance. How did the market move? It moved like this. You had about a climax on about 80 million, followed by a change of behavior on 120 million. 120 million shares. Pulled back on only 20 million. That's what was going on at these levels. Then it just rallied and it kept on going. I don't see any pressure, do you? Over here, it went up on 60 million, went down on 60 million. So what? Then it went up on 70 million, went down on 30, and then finally zero, and it rallied. When these markets, when they pull back on zero, it just means there's a lack of pressure. All right, so you have 60, 30, and zero. Here you had 20, rallied again, and again, down, down, down. Here it went zero, and rallied, pulled back, went down to zero, then rallied here on 120 million. Why is that important? Well, the change of behavior that came in here is 120 million. Here you also have 120 million. When I see things like that, I wonder sometimes that the guys that bought 120 million, did they sell 120 million? Because these numbers are sometimes they're so similar. It's like you bought 120 million at $50 and you sold it at $100. So it's like it allows you to compare inventory bought versus inventory sold at a higher price. Anyway, so over here, this was the 10th biggest up wave volume, telling me that there's something not quite right. Alright, because why would you buy all the way up here at resistance? Does it make any sense? Like, would you buy at resistance? You'd only buy if smart money, they come in at resistance to when they have conviction, meaning they're going to break out and it continues higher. Instead, I'm seeing this increase, pull back on about 40 million, and then a shortening of the thrust. So I see a shortening of the thrust, which is 1/3 the amount of the volume that came in on this buying climax. So this is about 120. This is 40. Like, what's going on? It just evaporated or something? So over here you have 120. Over here you have 40. Now here's the rub. When it goes down, it goes down on 90 million shares. What just happened? That is a change of behavior. That's your sign of weakness. That is the biggest sprint in the entire trend, from support to resistance. From the support to resistance on the daily chart, the pullback that you see here is the biggest. It's 90 million shares selling off of upthrust or whatever test of resistance. So I'm concluding here that people are selling resistance. They're not buying to break out. They're not absorbing. They're selling resistance. That's what's going on. This is all selling the resistance or something, because here you have your climax, which means buying followed by selling. So FOMO buying followed by professional selling. And now what's critical to kind of cement this is I want to watch the pullbacks here. If the pullbacks here don't have a lot of inventory, this market's going to go down. So I'm looking at the pullbacks, not making a decision yet, but I need to see the pressure on the pullback. If it's little, I mean like a 0 or a 1 or a 2, it's going to encourage the sellers to take this price all the way back down. Not all the way back down, but like at least something, right? It'll enter on its way back down to a support level, probably around, I'm not really even sure where it's going to go, because the trend is still up. Like it can come back down and consolidate and then spring and go higher. So it can do that at any time. All right, so that's what to watch for. We're gonna be watching the pullback. Watch the pullback on the market, whether you use the ES or the Dow, the Nasdaq or SPY, it doesn't matter. Watch that pullback. Watch the volume. Watch the amount of price movement. Watch where the reversal happens. That's going to tell you if the market is ready to pull back to a support level, which is what I'm expecting. Because the market went higher than the resistance level on the daily chart. There was no breakout. There's no breakout there, and it just seems like it's ready to go down a little bit more, maybe around to these areas right here. And then after that, we just have to wait and see. So looking for like a little trend change or something over here. All right, thank you, bye.